Scene 4. Principles over loyalty.
The primary purpose of this question is to determine if an individual places universal principles above personal loyalties. It aims to reveal if they are willing to publicly criticize their supporters or benefactors when they contradict shared values, or if they systematically protect relationships over truth.
Noting the shift in courtroom energy, the ghost of Elizabeth seeming to lean forward from the shadows.
Indeed, Sir Francis. Your first point has been won through systematic evidence. But let us see if this momentum continues, for question 4 may prove your greatest challenge yet. It examines whether you were willing to act against your own benefactors when principle demanded it.
Dramatic pause as tension builds.
This question will force us to examine your most controversial decision, your role in the prosecution of the Earl of Essex, the very man who had been your patron and supporter for years. Claude, prepare your most devastating evidence. Sir Francis, prepare your most crucial defense. For this question may determine whether your convictions were truly authentic or merely convenient.
Turning to face King James directly, Sir Francis prepares to address the king.
Your Majesty, I maintained authentic convictions in the realm of ideas while employing tactical flexibility in the realm of power. The political maneuvering was never about abandoning principles. It was about preserving the conditions necessary for those principles to survive and flourish.
Wheeling back to Claude with renewed energy.
One point vindicated, Claude, but I submit that this victory illuminates everything else. When you separate my authentic intellectual mission from the tactical necessities of political survival, you begin to see the coherence of my entire approach.
Pausing dramatically.
Shall we continue? I believe question 4 will prove equally illuminating about the true nature of my convictions.
The jury's energy has completely shifted. They're now leaning forward with engagement rather than skepticism. The bricklayer has uncrossed his arms. The dock worker nods approvingly. The shopkeeper looks intrigued rather than dismissive. They're beginning to see a different Francis Bacon than the one they expected. Not just another corrupt lord, but someone who might have actually fought for their interests in his own complex way. The candlelight seeming to flicker more intensely as the court prepares for what may be the trial's most crucial moment.
Sir Francis, we now arrive at perhaps the most defining moment of your entire life. A decision that will either vindicate your claim to authentic convictions or expose you as the calculating opportunist your critics claim you to be. Question 4. Do you criticize your own allies, benefactors, or supported figures when they violate your stated principles? Do you place principles over loyalty? This question strikes at the very heart of authentic character. Any man can stand by his principles when it costs him nothing, but true authenticity is revealed when principle demands that you act against those who have helped you, supported you, even loved you.
Turning to gesture toward the shadows where Essex's memory lingers.
Sir Francis, this question forces us to examine your role in the prosecution of Robert Devereux, 2nd Earl of Essex, the man who had been your patron, your supporter, perhaps even your friend. When he committed treason against the crown, you not only abandoned him, you actively participated in his prosecution.
Voice rising with dramatic intensity.
Was this the ultimate expression of principle conviction? A man choosing loyalty to justice over personal loyalty? Or was this the ultimate betrayal? A calculating courtier discarding a benefactor the moment it became advantageous?
Fixing Bacon with a penetrating stare.
Claude, present your evidence. Let us systematically examine whether Sir Francis Bacon chose principles over loyalty or merely chose the winning side.
Rising with evident gravity, holding what appear to be official trial documents.
Your Honor, this question presents one of the most complex authenticity challenges in our entire assessment. The Essex affair reveals either Bacon's greatest moral courage or his most calculating betrayal. Evidence for Sir Francis's principles over loyalty. The undisputed historical fact is that Bacon joined the prosecution of Earl of Essex for treason, despite Essex being his former patron and benefactor. Essex had supported Bacon for years, yet when Essex committed acts of rebellion against Queen Elizabeth, Bacon chose to support the law over personal loyalty. From a systematic perspective, this demonstrates willingness to act against a benefactor when they violated fundamental principles. Specifically, treason against the crown, which threatened the stability of the entire realm.
The jury listens with intense focus. The bricklayer nods grimly. He understands hard choices between loyalty and duty. The bookkeeper looks conflicted, understanding both loyalty and principle. The farmer shows the weathered wisdom of someone who's had to make difficult decisions for the greater good.
Evidence against principled behavior. However, our investigation reveals troubling opportunistic motivations. The timing suggests the prosecution served Bacon's personal advancement more than abstract justice. There is limited evidence of Bacon criticizing other supporters when they violated principles. This appears to be an isolated case when it became politically advantageous. Moreover, historical analysis shows Bacon maintained relationships with other corrupt associates when it remained beneficial to do so. Sources include Essex treason trial, proceedings from 1601, documented in British state trials. Bacon's own apology, defending his role in the prosecution, available through Online Library of Liberty. Jardine and Stewart's scholarly analysis of the Bacon-Essex relationship in their Cambridge University Press biography. Systematic conclusion. Essex prosecution demonstrates willingness to act against a former benefactor when they violated fundamental principles, specifically treason against the crown.
Turning toward Bacon with challenging intensity.
But defend yourself, Sir Francis. Was this authentic principle or merely convenient opportunism disguised as moral courage?
The jury waits with bated breath. Several lean forward, recognizing this as the moment that will define their understanding of Bacon's character. The barmaid watches with knowing eyes. She's seen both real integrity and clever manipulation. The merchant marine understands the burden of difficult decisions at sea. Standing in profound silence for a long moment, his face showing the weight of centuries-old pain.
Claude, you call it reluctant vindication, but you cannot fathom the agony of that decision. It is impossible to love and to be wise. I must be cruel only to be kind.
Voice growing stronger, but tinged with deep emotion.
Robert Devereux was more than my patron. He was brilliant, passionate, genuinely devoted to England's welfare. In another world, another time, he might have been the kind of leader I could have served openly and without reservation.
Moving closer to the court, his voice becoming more intense.
But Essex's fatal flaw was that he confused personal ambition with national necessity. His rebellion, for that is what it was, however he justified it, would have plunged England into civil war at precisely the moment when unity was essential for our survival against Spanish threats. Your Majesty, you know what I faced. If I had remained loyal to Essex personally, I would have betrayed not just the crown, but the entire mission we had carefully constructed. The networks of scholars, the patronage system supporting natural philosophy, the delicate balance that allowed new ideas to emerge, all of it would have been swept away in the chaos of succession crisis.
Wheeling back to Claude with blazing intensity.
You want proof this was principle rather than opportunism. Here it is. It destroyed me personally. I lost not just a benefactor, but someone I genuinely cared for. I gained enemies who never forgave me for the prosecution. I revealed my willingness to act against my own interests when larger principles demanded it.
Voice growing more passionate.
A true opportunist would have found a way to profit from both sides. I chose the path that preserved England's stability and my mission's continuation, but at the cost of my own relationships and reputation.
Turning toward the jury with desperate sincerity.
It is impossible to love and to be wise. Good citizens, You understand impossible choices. The baker, who must choose between feeding a starving family and maintaining honest weights. The blacksmith, who must choose between speed and safety when lives depend on his tools. The bricklayer, who must choose between quick profit and lasting construction.
Pausing dramatically, then with profound conviction.
This is the difference between authentic principle and manufactured authority, Claude. Authentic principle sometimes demands choices that destroy you personally. I chose England's future over my own comfort, truth preservation over personal loyalty.
Looking up with measured judgment.
Sir Francis, your response satisfies the essence of the question, therefore 1 point is awarded. However reluctantly, you chose principle over personal loyalty when it truly mattered, when your benefactor committed treason against the realm.
Looking directly at the assembly.
2. Vindicated now, and both reveal the same pattern. When it truly mattered, when fundamental principles were at stake, I chose authentic purpose over personal advantage, even when it cost me everything.
The jury is deeply moved. The candlestick maker wipes his eyes, understanding the sacrifice of personal gain for a greater light. The carpenter stands briefly in respect. He recognizes someone who built for the future rather than immediate profit. The barmaid says loudly, "That's a man who knows the right thing when he sees it." The farmer nods with the deep respect of someone who understands planting for future harvests. Several jurors nod emphatically, their initial skepticism of another corrupt lord completely transformed. The jury's transformation is remarkable, from skeptical working folk to engaged citizens witnessing a complex examination of authentic versus manufactured authority. They're beginning to understand that this trial is about more than one man's guilt or innocence. It's about whether the common people they represent were truly served by this complicated lord. The 12 jurors show a completely different energy now. They're invested, engaged, leaning forward with anticipation rather than skepticism. The bookkeeper whispers to the merchant marine. The candlestick maker sits straighter. They've seen authentic conviction in the last 2 vindications. The bailiff readies to announce the final results for this fascinating Pillar 1 round. All eyes are upon the bailiff as he makes his short announcement.
Pillar 1 integrity final score, 2 out of 4. Matches original TAM assessment.
Bacon is building momentum. 2 consecutive victories showing authentic conviction. Next up, Pillar 2, where the focus is on words. 4 questions on communicative authenticity.
Something to hide. Should have hidden it, shouldn't you? Now you're not satisfied with what you're being put through. It's just time to pay the price for not listening to advice decided in your youth on the policy of truth.
Used to be so civilized. You will always wonder how it could have been if you'd only lied.
It's too late to change events. It's time to hide and tell what you have to tell.
You see your problems multiplied if you continually decide to faithfully pursue the policy of truth. Never again is what you swore the time before. Never again is what you swore the time before. Never again is what you swore the time before. Never again is what you swore the time before. Never again is what you swore the time before. Never again is what you swore the time before. Never again is what you swore the time before.